Okay, so we're going to start by multiplying a monomial by a polynomial. So remember we talked about how do you classify. So if it's only one term, we call that a monomial. So if I have one term, so mono means one, and I'm multiplying that by a poly, which means many, then we're just going to distribute. Okay, so we're going to distribute and find the product of the monomial and multiply it by the longer polynomial. Now, at the top of page 6, who remembers from our last test, what do you do when you multiply? What do you do with your exponents when you're multiplying them? You add. So can you write add? We're going to add the powers, adding the exponents at the top of page 6. All right, so let's go ahead and go through a few of these together. So I'm going to zoom in pretty closely here. All right, so I'm going to multiply negative 2x by each one of these terms inside of my polynomial. So let's start off by taking negative 2x times 4x squared. So we multiply our numbers, but I'm adding my exponents. What's the exponent on this x out here? There's an invisible exponent right here. What's the exponent on x? 1. Let's go ahead and write that 1 in. Okay, so we have a 1. So I'm going to take negative 2 times 4, which would be a negative 8. And then I'm adding these powers. I'm adding 1 plus 2. And 1 plus 2 is 3. So there would be 3 x's. Then bring down your addition sign. And now we're going to multiply the negative 2 times 3. So what's negative 2 times 3? So we have a negative 6. And again, I'm adding. So 1 plus 1 would be x squared. And then lastly, I have negative 2 times negative 5. So negative 2x times negative 5 would be a positive 10x. That is your answer. All right, so now let's go ahead and look at our next one. I want you to take about 1 minute and try to do this one by yourself. Just try to work through it by yourself, see what you get, and then we'll go through it together. So multiplying the numbers, adding your exponents. Calculator. We're on page 6 in the note packet. All right, so let's go ahead and do it. So when we start off, we're taking -3 times 4. -3 times 4 is -12. And then I'm adding my exponent. So 1 plus 2 would be x to the third. And then we go to our next term. -3 times -2 would be what? Positive or -6? Positive 6. And then I'm adding my exponent. So 1 plus 1 is 2. And then lastly, -3x times 1 would be -3x. All right, who had that answer? Who had this as their answer? That was ugly. Let me do that again. All right, good. Let's do the next one. We'll do this one together because we have a couple of variables. So I have one m and one n on the outside. So they both have a 1, and you're going to look at them individually. So again, you're going to start off by multiplying 2 times 6. So 2 times 6 would be 12. And then you're adding the bases separately. So I have 1m plus 1m. So altogether, how many m's do I have? So that would be m squared. And then I have 1n and 3 n's. So I have 4 n's. Bring down your addition sign. 2 times 5 is 10. And then I have 1m and 3 m's. So that would be a m to the 4th. And then 1 n and 2 n's is n to the 3rd. And for my last term, all I can do is multiply my numbers. So 2 times 3 is 6. And then that mn is just going to be included in that last term. So this will be a trinomial. So I have 3 terms. Any questions about that? All right, let's keep going. So now we have a 2-step, because the first thing we're going to do is distribute, and then we're going to combine like terms like we did in our bell work. So we're going to start off by distributing. In this first parentheses, we're distributing a 3n. Keep in mind that there is an invisible power of 1. So I'm going to take, excuse me, I'm going to take 3 times 6. So 3 times 6 is 18. And then I'm adding 1 plus 3, which would be 4. Bring down your subtraction sign. 3 times 4, 12. And then I'm adding 1 plus 1, which would be 2. Okay, so now let's do my second distribute. So when I distribute my second one, that's a -2. So I'm taking -2 times 9. -2 times 9 is -18. And that would be n to the 4th. Because I'm adding, I had that n to the 4th there. And then -2 times -11 is positive 22. All right, so in order for it to be like terms, you need to have the same base with the same power. So these two are like terms. See how they both have an n to the power 4? That means they're like terms. What happens when I take 18 minus 18? You get 0. It cancels out. So my final answer would be -12n squared plus 22. Now you could put a 0 into the 4th, but you don't have to. So the better answer is just to drop that into the fourth altogether and say negative 12n squared plus 22. All right, let's go ahead and do our next one here. So we will do the A. Let's do this one, or B. So let's go ahead and distribute. So 4x times 2x squared would be 8x cubed. 4x times negative 5x is negative 20x squared. 4x times 5 is positive 20x. And now we're going to distribute the negative 4. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. Look for any like terms. Do you see any like terms? Anything that we can add together? They both have to have the same variable with the same power. So do you see any like terms? No? The 20x and the negative 4x, right? Because they both have an x. They both have x to the first. So these are like terms. So we can add those together. So we'll get 8x cubed minus 20x squared. 20 minus 4 is 16 minus 20. And that would be my final answer. All right, so we're going to skip that next question. Let's go to the next page. And we have some solving to do. Oh, no, that's actually it. So we're actually we will do this question. Never mind. Let's go ahead and do this question. This is our last question. I thought we had a different last question. All right, so let's go ahead and finish it out with this one. So we're distributing the 2AB. So 2AB times 5A cubed. So 2 times 5. So I always like to put in my power. So I have a 1 and a 1 here and here. Put in my power so I can remember what I'm adding. So take a minute and distribute this first one. Take this monomial, which is 2AB, and multiply it by the polynomial or the binomial, 5A cubed plus 6B. So that would be 2 times 5 is 10. So I have 1A and 3A, which would be 4A. But don't forget that B. That B on the outside, that's still going to come in with this term. So we have 2AB times 5A cubed, and that would be 10A to the fourth B. And then we're taking 2 times 6. 2 times 6 is 12. And that would be AB squared. All right, now do the same thing with our second one. Now you're multiplying a negative 7A. Go ahead and multiply that by both of those terms. So negative 7 times 3 would be negative 21. And then how many A's will I have with that term? 5, because we're adding 1 plus 4, which would be 5. And then you have negative 7 times 9, that's negative 63. And I have an AB. All right, so let's look at these. Are any of these like terms? So in order for this to be a like term with something, it would have to have 4 A's and a B. There is nothing else that has 4 A's and 1 B. Nothing else has 1 A and 2 B's. There is no other term with 5 A's, and there is no term with 1 A and 1 B. So this would be your final answer. All right, so use this time. Homework 1 is due, I believe, today or tomorrow. If you have that done, you can bring it up to get your points. Use this time to work on homework 1 and also start working on homework 2. So today you can only do the front side. So we're only working on the front side. Your quiz is next Thursday.